All right, now it just says it means being live streamed, so I just got the notice that it's being live streamed now on YouTube.
Thank you,
So
Representative.
I think we're good. I think we're good because it said we're now live streaming on YouTube.
Right. So just to let folks know, we've started the meeting. Here we go. Just to let folks know that we started the meeting on the meeting on the Education Committee, and we did go through some remarks, and we moved to SB 229, the first bill on the agenda, and which will be put on hold. And then we're now moving on to bill number 2, SB 226, an act implementing the recommendations of the Department of Education. This is the bill that Education puts forward every year with either some technical changes or any other changes that they deem necessary. So do we have any questions in regards to 226?
Representative, there's no motion on the floor yet.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Rep. Belinsky makes a motion to raise Bill 226.
Second.
No, that's, you
No.
just made a motion to raise. Could you withdraw the motion to raise and then do a motion for a joint favorable, please?
I withdraw the motion to raise.
Thank you,
Okay,
Representative.
Thank you.
So, motion to move to JF to the floor, SB number 226.
So moved. Mitch
Second.
Belinsky.
Second, Candelaria.
The second Candelaria. Thank you. So now, do we have any questions on Representative McCarty?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to make the comment recognizing the Department of Education for putting forward very judicious proposals this session, and to recognize that I believe the bill will really help our teachers with certification. There's a lot of flexibility here. Moving the 5-year out to 10-year for the renewal, I think will be a definite welcoming approval. So I am very supportive of this proposal, and again wanted to recognize the Department of Education for limiting the amount of proposals going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. So seeing no other hands are up. Roll call.
You know what?
Mr.
Can we
Clerk.
can we put start a consent calendar? Bob, you think we can start a consent calendar?
If that's okay with Representative McCarty?
Sorry, it takes a minute to unmute here. Yes, of course, I was going to ask the same thing. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll place this one on consent.
Okay.
Okay. So moving to item number 3, HB number 5280, an act concerning the provisions of bilingual education in Connecticut. Motion to JF to approve.
So move, Nolan.
Second.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
I second.
Okay. When you do a motion, can you please let us know your name? Just say Representative Nolan motions to move and second Senator McCrory. So it makes it easier for Ken to record. Any questions on the bilingual education bill? Representative McCarty.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly on this bill proposal, I know it increases the amount, the overall grant from 1.9 to 3.8 million in the bill. My questions really look at the new dual language seed grant, which I think is important, and for the committee to recognize that we have a really fairly significant increase of early language learners in our schools. So I am supportive of this bill, but could you just comment for a moment on the seed grant? I think the when the districts apply for the grants, they will have to come back to SDE for approval. And could you just, and also in the bill, are there measures for accountability of how that grant will be used and how it will be tracked for accountability?
Yes, well, because it's a seed grant, of course, the SDE would have to be involved and they would have to apply for these funds. In regards to accountability, I would imagine that SDE, they have in the past. Hopefully they will continue to do so. Chris, is there anything here in regards to accountability with for SDE in regards to the dual language?
The language,
That's section 2, I believe in the bill.
yeah, I'm looking at subsection E. There's nothing explicit that says that, the department's gonna audit, the recipients, but subsection E starts off, the local or regional board of education that receives a grant under the program will have 3 years to expend the grant in accordance with the provisions of the approved plan. And so, the SDE could possibly, be monitoring how they're expending it to ensure that that's the case.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the reason I pose the question primarily is because we know that there is some funding that goes out for ELL, but we're not always sure that it reaches those students. So I think it's important that we have a seed grant in place, but I would encourage the department to give us back some feedback as to how it's working. I think there'll be some direction to help the Alliance districts in the bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Callahan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Senator. I think it's a great idea. I have my wife's a full-time kindergarten teacher and is teaching her ELL students through Google Translate because there's no personnel there. They have one ELL teacher in the school that spends the day evaluating students rather than working with them because there's so many metrics they have to meet. So they literally spend their entire day, every day, testing students. So I hope some of this money finds its way to all of our school districts because they are definitely short-staffed, and without her personal phone, she would not be able to communicate with these children she's trying to teach. So it definitely have more questions as it moves forward, but I definitely will vote yes on it.
Thank you. Representative Fiorello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering, this is doubling our funding for this ESL program. And I was wondering, what are the languages that we focus on in Connecticut, and will we be expanding it to other languages?
As far as I know, it's not just Spanish language that's being taught. I think that there are school districts that do other dual languages. That's my understanding. I mean, I don't know if Senator McCrory, since he deals a lot with.
I know in school district I work in, of course, a majority is done with, for Spanish, but I know French is taught in some school districts and depending on the school district and the community. For example, in Hartford, there's over 40 different languages that are taught in our school system. So this goes well beyond just Spanish as the dual language that's being taught in schools across the state. It depends on the community and the needs.
Right. So I just wanted to understand the bilingual education. This provision is to help students who currently do not speak English to learn English, because the two-way immersion, this is not about English speaking kids learning foreign languages, right? This is to deal with students who we're trying to help them to speak English. And I was wondering, do we have any data on how many more students we're seeing who don't speak English fluently enough to study in English?
I don't, go ahead, Bob.
No, I believe that Representative McCarty had brought up that there is data and there's a need for more bilingual education throughout the state of Connecticut. I believe that she had mentioned something earlier about the need.
And also, I think, Reverend Kelly, mentioned that there's a shortage already in this field, in this area, at language, dual language teachers. And like you said, we're using technology to help do this. And if we have an opportunity to get more resources out into the field, so these teachers can utilize them to help get more people to learn English as a second language, I think it's a great opportunity to expand the program. We have an opportunity to do it. They have not had a raise, an increase. How many years has it been, Bobby? Like 17 years that this pot of money has not been increased. And the
Since
number
1989.
since 1989, and the number of students who are coming to our school system who who English is not their first language has grown tremendously since 1989. Have not kept up with the resources. This is the opportunity to keep up, provide some resources to a population that is in need.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if any of the research analysts can provide the actual numbers, but that would be really helpful as I go back to my district to explain this bill. But I would love to know since 1989 if we haven't expanded this program. So you mean the funding has stayed at 1.8 billion since 1989? And how many students more are we helping with this?
I don't have an exact number, but that number has stayed consistent since 1989. At one point, I believe for $1 million. And I know for a fact that our student population has grown tremendously, especially for students who English is not their native language.
Thank
So
you.
it would
Mr.
help.
Chair.
It would help a lot more students moving forward, that's for sure. Representative McCarty?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Thank you. No, I did want to comment that I heard we have significant number of children that need these programs. One figure I heard was 40,000, and that may not even be a complete accurate number, but our district school profiles should identify how many children in the district are in need of the program. So the information is out there. We could come back to Representative Fiorello with a complete figure if she would so desire.
sounds like a plan to me.
Thank you, Representative.
Do we have to, are we JF this to approach, Bobby?
Yes, this is
Okay.
a JF2 approach.
Any questions? Is there any disagreement as far as putting this on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, let's add this one to the consent calendar also. What you got next, Bobby?
Okay, the next one is SB number 4, SB number 227, and that concerning magnet school program funding, and that's JF2 approach. Motion
So move.
by
Nolan.
Nolan
Second, Curry.
and second by Curry. Thank you.
So again, I'll just explain as I had this conversation earlier. This is another opportunity to have a larger discussion about ECS. As I told my colleagues previously, I think this is what I would like to see happen in this case is move this bill forward to appropriations so we continue to have a larger discussion about ECS and how we're going to actually fund different vehicles of education. So I ask that you all send this to the floor along with another bill that's going to be coming out out of this committee. Ask that you send that also to the floor as the advocates continue to work out an avenue that we can, a pathway that we can move forward in the state of Connecticut. We all know that one of the avenues that we want to see is fully funded ECS. That's a conversation that the advocates are having. That will give us a better idea of how we can go about funding charter schools, magnet schools, not traditional schools. So I'll just ask everyone to continue to move this bill along so we can have a large discussion about financing schools. Representative
And Senator, you mean to move it to approach because that's what we're JFing it to approach. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And I don't think I could have said it any better. But just as a reminder to members and those listening at home, this is again simply a Band-Aid for a solution that this system did not create. Past legislatures did, that we are now solving year after year as this will continue to come before us until that larger solution is found and approved. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. What do you have next? Is there, is there an opportunity for us to pass this, put this on our consent calendar also? Representative McCarty, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Just for a little more clarification, and I certainly am listening to my colleague, Representative Curry, and he makes a very good point that this has not been done. And I think Senator McCrory, you covered it, but as we are going to continue in education, we're going to have a number of bills dealing with magnet school funding. So just the assurance that at some point we're going to be able to put all these proposals and figure out exactly where it falls. So just if you would comment again for that, is that what you were trying to tell us?
Yes, absolutely. So you're going to see a number of conversations around funding, starting out one with the chef settlement. That's a conversation that we're going to have when we talk about ECS. And also we have this piece of legislation, which pretty much is a Band-Aid, but it's a Band-Aid that's needed, right? Because we have a system, we're creating a system in Connecticut where we create these magnet schools, but we haven't properly funded them. And we're looking to create more through the chef settlement. So this gives us an opportunity to have a conversation around funding not only our traditional schools with ECS, but also how we're going to pay for our magnet schools and our charter schools. Because you have two entities, you have magnet school operators and you have charter schools who do not have a taxing base. So they cannot go back to their communities and say, hey, you know, we have a new contract with our teachers. Can we increase our budget? They don't have that. They don't have that ability to do that. Our traditional school system still. So that's part of the conversation that we have to have around ECS and funding and equitable funding as we move forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I will not repeat these words again when the next bill will come up. I know it's next going to come up around ECS, but I'm not going to say the same thing. So again, it's about moving the conversation forward around ECS. So what do we have next, Bob?
So for number 4, can we entertain this, put it on the consent calendar, or
I think
that okay?
I don't
Consent?
see any apprehension from anyone to put it on consent. Let's put it on consent.
Yes, you can go on consent. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next one is number 5, HB number 5286, an act concerning the development of a new pre-service performance assessment for teacher preparation programs. JF to the floor. Can I have a motion?
So moved, Curry.
Second, Gomes.
Second, Cook.
Okay. Now this, again, this is in reference to EdTPA. I just want to let people know this has been brought up, I think, the last 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. We're finding that many students and professors in our colleges and universities are concerned with this process of EdTPA, which is a pre-service performance assessment. This would basically require for the commissioner, the education commissioner, the CSCU president, and dean of the UConn School to jointly develop a new assessment and to phase out EdTPA by July 1st of 2024. Representative Devlin, I know you had your hand up first. Oh, okay. Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Representative Devlin, and I'll be very brief. But I would like to point out to the committee that this proposal does have opposition from some of our major education associations and organizations. So it was my hope that we would be able to bring those groups with divergent opinions back together to do more work on the proposal as we're going forward. And I'd like to thank and recognize the chairs for agreeing that at some point we'll have a meeting prior to this bill, if it reaches the floor, where we can sit down and look to find those areas where we could compromise more. I do appreciate that the proposal was put out a few years to 2024, but I think I would feel more at ease to have those conversations. You know, currently the EdTPA assessment is portable between states and recognizes reciprocity. And there are some areas within it that I think are very worthy of ongoing and further discussion. But I wanted to recognize you, Chairman Sanchez, for your willingness to always cooperate and to try to find the best solution. This would be quite a change to our teacher preparation programs. I do understand we have a shortage in the teaching profession, so we want to do what we can to attract more teachers to the profession. At the same point, I'm concerned that we maintain the high quality of standards for the teaching profession. So I would appreciate the ongoing discussion as we move, but I will flag this bill with a no vote today with the hope that we can come together before it moves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative McCarty. And absolutely, my hope is to get this out of the committee, but before it even hits the floor, that those conversations do happen. So I just wanted to, we had that discussion earlier on, and I definitely intend for that to happen. Thank you. Representative Devlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So honestly, I do appreciate your comments about being willing to talk about this bill, but I have to say I'm really disappointed to see it coming up now and being rushed through like it is, because we had these very discussions last session and nothing has changed here. Public Act 19-139 created the EdTPA working group, and the recommendations did not include eliminating this program. And as Representative McCarty said, there are universities that prepare teachers in other states where the EdTPA is required for licensure. And those graduates will not be able to be licensed without it. In addition, what I have heard from those schools, 2 years is unreasonable to expect the development and the incredible financial investment that has been made and now will have to be made. I do hope and would love to bring in some of the folks at some of our universities that are involved with this and have a deep, a real working discussion. And I wish that would have happened before bringing this back up again. It's a short session. There's a million things happening and important priorities. And I know this is important to you, but I just did want to express that. I too will be voting no to flag it, but I am fully committed to bringing in folks to be able to sit down and express some of the other points of view here and hopefully come up with something that isn't only workable for our schools, but is fair to those students who are expecting to be able to graduate and be licensed in the states that they will be teaching in. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Fazio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to understand a little better the impetus for removing EdTPA, providing an alternative way of bringing in teachers, especially in a time of shortage. I just want to better understand that before we vote on it.
So we've had testimony from professors and from students throughout the state of Connecticut, and in particular, there was one professor from the UConn NEAC school who sent in a written testimony on Dr. Sims in regards to EdTPA and how it's a tool that really is not helping, particularly students of color. It's become a big issue. It's my understanding that there are 2 states presently that do EdTPA are now going to phase it out as well, because they felt that it was not doing the job it should have been doing in performance assessment. So that has been the concern. So I've been listening to a lot of these students and to a lot of these professors, and there's a feeling out there that there is something that can replace this within the next 2 years. But like I said, I'm open to further discussion moving forward before this even hits the floor.
Is there a sense that it wasn't strict enough, the standards, it was too lax, or it wasn't showing, that it was producing sophisticated instructors, or what was the mechanic?
Yeah, the biggest issue was the recording where they had to record, actually do a film of them, teaching a class. It was time consuming. Another issue that many of the students brought up was the costs that was put on them, and then additional costs. I believe was $300 and $300. And if they did not pass, they would have to pay an additional $300. So, I mean, there were many testimonies in regards to the cost, the filming, the fact that it's really not a performance assessment that helps students of color. So there were a number of different issues.
So they thought it was too strict on the teacher candidates. Onerous,
Probably,
whatever.
yeah, and I don't think it was too strict. It's just it was too time consuming, and some of the things that were being done, it just wasn't really helpful. It wasn't that hands-on type of experience for them.
Interesting. Thank you.
Representative Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to echo the comments made from the good representative from Fairfield. And a report was issued at the end of January 2020. Obviously, Ms. Rona and her terrible virus took over for the next 2 years. And so I'm not sure if that group was able to kind of get back together to ensure that recommendations made to us for future policy actually occurred. So I'm glad to hear that conversations will continue. I will vote yes to ensure that continued conversation, but want to ensure that the folks who are part of that are able to be included as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Curry. Senator Champagne.
Thank you. I'm trying to understand this. Are we going to lower the standards with this? Is that what's going to happen?
No, we're replacing a performance assessment with another performance assessment that is more interactive versus what we're seeing now with EdTPA.
So interactive, like, I don't understand. Less curriculum?
Let me try to chime in and explain what's going on. So last year we passed legislation to ask SDE to look at alternative forms of assessments for licensure to be an educator in the state of Connecticut. Historically, before there was an EdTPA, all the schools of education in Connecticut used their own assessment to determine whether a student can be licensed for certification. And that wasn't a well thought out. EdTPA came along, and what every school education started to utilize was this one form of standardized assessment for all students coming out of any school of education in the state of Connecticut. And what we found was when we put this standardized assessment in, unfortunately, there are some who have historically did not do well with EdTPA or with a standardized test. They were not passing at the highest rate, but most students, a lot of students were not passing the assessment. And I'll tell you, and the reason why we passed that legislation last year as an educator, there is absolutely no evidence out there that says if you can pass this standardized test, you will be a successful educator. So in hindsight, in looking at my experience and talking to other advocates who out there are looking at alternatives for ways to determine whether a teacher can be a very good teacher. And one of the best methods is having a mentor type program or apprenticeship type program. For example, you come in, you graduate from college, you did all you have to do, you come in and work in the school for a year or two and be trained and mentored by a master teacher. After a couple of years, you can demonstrate that you are a qualified teacher and you can teach in our schools and not just take a test, then now you can be certified. So we're asking SDE to come up with all the alternatives besides just the test to determine whether a candidate is qualified to go into our schools and teach. And that's what we're looking at. So this is just one piece of a larger discussion that we have about certification. I hope that explains it a little better. And also I hope that explains it a little better. So we're not lowering the standards. What we're gonna do is be a little more actual or more hands-on to determine whether you can actually do a great job of teaching in our schools besides just taking a test. Because if that's the case, anyone can take it. It was just a matter of taking a test and we can see student outcomes increase. Then everybody will take a test should be able to test, and our students should be doing better. That's not the case. We need to see if you can actually do the job in the classrooms. And that's a better form of assessment than a test.
Is there going to be some sort of formal, like measurement of that classroom abilities?
So again, when they come back when SDE come back with different alternatives, we'll review them and we might put some in place. That doesn't mean that your NTP will be gone. That might be one of the options. You can option still continue down this path, take NTPA and be certified, but there might be some other ones. So there's a lot of things that are on the table right now. I hope that kind of answers it.
Well, we're voting on something that we don't have, we're voting on changing something that we don't have in front of us. I have an issue with that. But I think I'm gonna have a difficult time with this one.
Yeah, I understand. You're absolutely right. That's why I think the dates were pushed out so the advocates and the people against it can continue the discussion. And I don't think all we're doing right now is just continuing. We're not at a point where we're going to take this conversation to the floor yet. This gives an opportunity for the advocates and those who are pro and con against NTP or not to continue the discussion with ideas that don't come to some type of conclusion. Then hopefully these alternative methods will be used.
But this alternative method, by voting today, are we saying that this goes into automatically in 2 years, or are they going to bring this back to this committee to review with some sort of data that we can actually look at and make an educated decision on?
I will ask that after the advocates continue the conversation, whatever they decide that what's the best way to go about doing it, we'll talk with conversation with SDE, then that's the way we'll move forward. We won't move forward without, we'll definitely bring this conversation back to you all before we bring this out on the floor. If it have to go out on the floor. Again, it might not go anywhere if we can come to a conclusion with the pros and cons.
Senator McCrory, can I suggest that we put this one on hold and then we can have the further discussions? Is that okay? Is that okay with everyone?
That's probably a better idea.
Okay.
So whoever made the motion needs to withdraw the motion.
It was Curry. Curry who made the motion.
Yep, I will withdraw my motion.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to HB number 5286. An act concerning the inclusion of Asian American and Pacific Islander studies. This is the JFS to approach. Do I have a motion?
Rep Sanchez, you misstated the bill number.
I was just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's 5282.
5282, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So move for 5282, no.
5282. So no, Representative Nolan?
Yeah.
And who's second?
Second, Senator Kushner.
Kushner, okay. Thank you. So do we have any questions in regards to the Asian American and Pacific Islander Studies Bill?
Oh, that's
Representative McCarty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, the major change to this from what we heard at the hearing is the JFS language to remove the disaggregated data. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then there was some confusion. Just for clarification purposes, this proposal would be adding the Asian American Pacific Islander studies to the curriculum piece, so it would become part of the curriculum. It's not a new course. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Just for clarification. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Is there any other questions? Representative Devlin.
Hi.
Got it.
How's this?
Now that's better.
Good. So I just wanted to make a comment related to this bill, and it was actually interesting because I had a phone call from one of the most strongest proponents of this bill immediately after leaving a CABE meeting. And at that meeting, not only did they speak about when they were questioned by a senator about why they couldn't, participate in open choice, but all of the other mandates that were coming down, they said, please, just give us a pause. They are overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed before with the mandates coming down to impose certain things. And then with COVID, they're just really trying to get ahead or just get even, if you will. All that said, and hate to be contradictory, I am going to support this, but I really think both this bill and we've got another one coming up, I'll make the same comments. Everybody has something critically important that we could say has to be included. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? But at some point, we just have to give our districts the ability to do what we've already imposed on them. And it's just like a fire hose coming at them. So I just wanted to offer that. I know that there is, a lot of support to this, not necessarily probably across the board, but I felt that was important just to mention, and that I hope as a committee, we can keep that in mind. And I know things that affect our schools don't just happen out of this committee. They happen elsewhere as well. And I just wanted to put that on the radar because it was one of the strongest and almost a plea from multiple districts that, had the same point of view. So I'd feel remiss if I didn't share that with this committee. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Devlin. And SDE did, when we talked about this bill, SDE did also have concerns. And what we did, we had a 2024 original date. We pushed it up to 2025.
Right.
And even pushing it out an additional year, it's going to be, it's a lot of work. Absolutely. And we understand that. So, we understand your comments. Thank you. Representative Fiorello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my thoughts on this bill that I'd love to share with my peers is that I obviously am an Asian American, and I firmly want to advance the interests of all human beings, but with a special love for the contributions of all Asian Americans. But I don't believe that government is the only or the best way. In fact, I think it's probably one of the worst ways to advance education on Asian American history and contributions to our American culture. I much prefer to create curriculums, books, materials, posters, videos, whatever out there in the free market where we can try things and see what succeeds, what ways are attractive to the market and the audience. And also, should there be very poor programs that are created, hopefully they won't get sold. But when something is created through government, it's very clunky, and it has a way of not always advancing what it says it intends to advance. And in some ways, I feel like I understand Asians who will say, but Rep. Fiorello, there's a whole list of other races that are included in the mandate. Why shouldn't Asians be there? And I really believe that two wrongs don't make a right. And I feel like maybe I'm terrible with idioms, but maybe the horse has left the barn. But I don't want to add to the problem, which is that we are not focusing on core academics. And I don't want to add another mandate to study something else. I want all of public education to get right what is the core classical academic needs. So I'm a no. And I really hope more of us will drive education in Connecticut to focus on core academics, math, science, reading, writing, and put to the side some of these other things, because education does not only happen in the public school building. Education happens everywhere else, in the home and on the weekends. And there are many other ways to address the need or desire of folks who want to know about Asian American history and Asian American contributions. It does not have to be added here. And by the way, we already did add it in the K-8. So let's see what government creates in the K-8 program before we start expanding this mandate. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Representative Deach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to kind of piggyback with Rep. Furrow. I think that we have a big issue out there. We need to get back to the core of why the kids are in school and what they're supposed to be learning. No offense, I'm Italian American, but I think they need to get back to the sciences, the maths, the reading, the literature. We are putting on too many mandates, which were electives back in the day. I think we need to focus on letting the children catch their breath. We were coming out of a horrible situation, and to add one more thing to their plate, whether it's a year or two or whatever, it's going to take us a while to get out of the mess that we're in right now. And our grades are being affected. And if you take a look at the statistics, the kids are not testing well, and they're not absorbing what's already on their plates. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Deach. Well, duly noted. Representative Welander, followed by Representative Nolan, followed by Representative Felipe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's really important that we do note that we have been asking SDE to do more and more without giving them proper resources. I think we should be aware of that, what we are asking our State Department of Education and our schools to do. I also think it's really important that we recognize that people of Asian American and Pacific Islander descent are facing unprecedented levels of violence and discrimination in our communities across Connecticut and our country. And we would love everyone to have the opportunity to learn about different cultures and have different opportunities in the weekends or within their own households. That is not always the case, and not everyone has that opportunity to do so. It is a wonderful thing to be able to teach our students about different cultures and different ideas so they can have a better understanding of the world and go forward being more compassionate and empathetic adults in the future. And I recognize that we are asking more and more of SDE, but I also recognize that we need to make curriculum like this and curriculum that teaches and values diversity and a priority. So thank you for your time. Just wanted to share those thoughts.
Thank you, Representative Welander. Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question and then a statement. And the question is, are we not entertaining folk from our communities in education professions in regards to the curriculums that we're asking for these mandates?
In the development of the curriculums?
Correct.
It's my understanding, yes, SDE does reach out. And
Right.
in regards to this specific one, there was an individual who came to testify, Kate Lee, who apparently has done and worked on different, on many curriculums in regards to Asian American and Pacific Islanders throughout the country. And she has offered her expertise and her services, and I'm hoping that SDE will reach out to her.
Okay, so it's those that have the expertise and the background to be able to come up with these curriculums. It's not just a group of government officials that are bringing this forward. I was a staunch supporter for African American studies and Hispanic and now Native American, and I'll be a staunch supporter for Asian American studies, mostly because of the false narratives that have been taught in some of our schools and that are not literally brought up in a manner that exposes the truth of how a lot of our cultures have been the I guess you can say the backbone of some errors in our country. So I believe adding this Asian American study is no different. I will be in full support of it, and that's all I would like to say in regards to it at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Nola. Representative Felipe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to first say that I understand the need to make sure SDE has the proper supports, make sure that our districts really can implement these things in the proper ways. But I have to say I'm a bit offended by the way that some members so flippantly spoke about history in relation to math and science as core concepts, because I think history is just as important. It's just as important to learn where we come from, what this country was built on, and what those concepts in everyday life have led to in our society. So when it comes to the history that we teach in our schools, the history of Asian Americans is just as important as the history of African Americans and Latinos, and the history of white folks that has been taught since we began teaching in public schools in the country. I think it's all about getting that societal view for these young kids that are growing up, to make sure that that is part of their core values. Is just as important as math and science. So I would just say that we can't flippantly talk about it like it's just an art class or a gym. This is the history of our country, and we need to make sure that everybody's a part of that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Felipe. Representative Curry, followed by Representative McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for a point of clarification on some comments that were previously made. The word mandate is a great buzz phrase, buzzword. It's good clickbait. It makes for good mailers at home. But when we talk about the K through 8 curriculum, I just wanted to ensure that folks know that that is not a mandate on our local Board of Educations. It is something that SDE has created and is permissive to be used by our local and regional boards of education. Yes, it was a mandate for the State Department of Ed. The State Department of Ed, regardless of what we do today, tomorrow, has been underfunded, under-resourced. So if we want to have that conversation where 40% of their work base is eligible for retirement, let's have that conversation, whether that's here in appropriations, to better support the structure and the system that is allowing for our children to be educated in the state of Connecticut. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Curry. Representative McGee.
Thank you, Senator McCrory. Just in support of the AAPI community and my Asian American constituents, I am in strong support of Asian American history being taught in schools. Unfortunately, American and being in America has become white, and the rest of us are sort of hyphenated. And that's something that Toni Morrison said. And I believe the value of instilling a person's cultural identity is very important, especially when it comes to children. I believe Asian Americans should know that they contributed to the railroads being built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and the Black and Asian brotherhood that was established in such a monumental time in the early 1900s. I think these are things that Asian Americans deserve to know about themselves. And to one of the fastest growing populations in this country, if we don't do our due diligence to make sure that hate crimes are not targeted against them, and that we're not implementing these changes within our school system to teach Asian Americans the value of their lives, then I'm, concerned for humanity. But I just wanted to be supportive to those that I represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McGee. I think we have Senator Kushner, followed by Representative Fiorello.
Well, I would really like to strongly align my remarks with Representative McGee, except to add to it that it's important not just for Asian American students to understand their contribution, their very important contributions to building the railroads and the things you mentioned, but also for white children to understand that. And I think that helps us build a better, if we build an understanding of history, it will help our children to understand what we've come through and what we need to be and how we can be better. And I feel very strongly in support of this bill. And I hope that we as a committee will acknowledge it and push it forward and get it past the finish line this year. Thank you.
That's
Okay, before we
Representative
go,
Fiorello for a second time.
yeah, we have two other speakers after Representative Fiorello for the second time. So, Representative Fiorello, then Representative Carney, then Representative Paris. And that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the second time. So I just wanted to say that there's nothing flippant about my conversations, my work towards the Education Committee, but I feel very strongly that we should be advocating for a focus on the core academics, which of course includes history, which is American history. And American history taught properly will include many stories of tragedy to triumph of all the different races that are here. I mean, it's undeniable America is made up of the rich vastness of lots of different cultures, history, and how we are doing here. But as I can hear, you know, there is education, depending on who is going to teach this curriculum and how it's going to be created, it always has the risk of becoming propaganda. And I can hear it already from folks saying that Asians should know the value of their lives. And I just want to assure people that the lessons on the value of each individual's life comes from the people who are in those people's lives, their individual teachers, their families, their parents, their grandparents. And it has nothing to do with adding in this cultural, this race-based lens on education. And I think that once we go down this route, which we already have, we're going to keep adding more and more. And where do we get to a point where it's truly e pluribus unum, out of many, one? We're talking about the public education system. And I believe that the focus should be e pluribus unum and guide people towards an understanding of American culture without this constant siloing and desire to break out all of the populations into the many different tiny little sectors of identity groups. We are all Americans, and our education system should focus on the fact that we are all Americans. And for that reason, no one will question my pride as an Asian American. I was born in Korea, I speak Korean, and I strive to teach my kids Korean. My parents come to visit and they only bring Korean food. There's no question that my children and their friends have a keen understanding of Korean culture when they come into my home. And that's the same for everybody's home. I'm speaking about the purpose of public education should be a striving towards e pluribus unum, which will lead to a more cohesive society. And absolutely, we should teach the truth in history. But I don't believe we should be going towards this constant siloing of the curriculum. And this will mandate a focus on all of these different sectors, which through the lens of race. And I don't believe we're doing our children a great service in that. At the same time, we can't lose focus that we are not doing a great job in Connecticut in terms of teaching math, history, science, and all the other core topics. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Fiorello. Representative Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Representative Fiorello's comment, speaking as an Asian American and an American. I just wanted to say, because I feel this discussion has kind of gotten a little off track, but a few years ago, we voted on the Holocaust education, and being half Jewish, obviously the Holocaust is something extremely important to me. It's extremely important to my family. And so, of course, I was supportive of that legislation. I was supportive of the African American and Latino history curriculum a couple of years ago. So I am going to support this. But I do agree that things are getting, it's going to get to a point where, well, we're only spending a week on this, we're only spending a week on that. Why are they getting a month? Why aren't we, and I do agree that it could blow up into something that could be problematic. I mean, I think with the Holocaust bill, one of the things, and I may have been the only person that mentioned this on the floor, is I don't want children just learning about the Holocaust that happened in Europe. I want children learning about why it happened. I want children learning about other incidents of genocide, like in Cambodia and Rwanda, and why that's wrong. And I feel with this, we should be learning, about different cultures, of course, but why America is great and why, all of these different cultures together create something amazing. Like the thing with the genocide or curriculum, why is that bad? Why shouldn't we do that? Why we need to be better humans. And that is still going on. So I will support this today, but I do agree with some of the comments of my colleagues on this, that it could ultimately become a problematic issue that we're going to have to face again in the future. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Carney. Representative Paris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echo some of the comments of my colleagues that have been made, and I just want to provide some food for thought for folks. My teachings throughout 2nd to 5th grade in learning about the many different aspects of our history across this country showed me that the Statue of Liberty was given to the United States of America as a symbol to signify the greatness of immigrants in this country. Not until high school, when I took an African-American course, did I learn that the Statue of Liberty was actually given to this country to commemorate the end of slavery. That is something that was deeply important to me that I don't think I would have ever learned had representatives and legislatures and educators not made the move to have African-American history taught to students like me and students who did not look like me. And because I was learning about different cultures, including my own in school, based on the curriculum that was there, I taught my family something because there were things that my grandparents and others did not know about. And not only that, but think about the children who do not look like me or come from the same walk of life that I have, that I've had, are going to teach their families too. It's going to start conversations and make us more aware. So I support this out of committee today. I support this on the House floor because I do believe it is important for us to continue to learn from one another. And I do believe it's important for others to have their stories and their culture heard and felt and exuded through curriculum in our public school systems. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Senator Winfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an interesting conversation. I will say this, that it seems that some people believe that going down this road and continuing to go down this road is going to create problems. We already have problems, severe problems. We don't teach American history, right? We teach a portion of American history. For a long time, it was very much exclusionary to almost all of the groups that are majority populations in other countries. And so if what we mean by problems is that people are going to have to reconcile themselves to the fact that American history is something that is inclusive of a whole bunch of others. And the only way we're actually going to get there is to do something different than we've already done. Then I think we have to be supportive of this. And I don't think it's teaching in silos, right? You create a model curriculum for how you would teach this stuff, and you could build a curriculum that includes parts of that, right? Teaching American history. If we're really going to talk about out of many one, we have to know about the many in order to be that one. You have people walking around this country right now who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about because they were never educated about the history of this country. And so they look at different groups and they ask the question, what did they contribute? What value do those people have? I don't think any of those individual groups need to be taught about the value of themselves, despite the fact that I went to a school that didn't teach me almost anything about Black history, except that we existed from 1954 to 1968. I had an understanding of the inherent value of my humanity, right? So I don't need that to understand. I might feel as though the school I go to doesn't value me, and since I spend so much time there, it might be a problem. But we don't need that. What we need is to understand the way in which these different peoples have integrated into our society, and that it is important that they did, and they are part of the history. And if we don't do that, then we have the problems we see where we stand on the floor of the House or the Senate and we say something that is absolutely a part of American history, and people say that didn't happen. It happens every year because we don't educate the children who grow up to be the people who are myself and my colleagues. In the state of Connecticut, every year, somebody disagrees with an American history fact because that American history fact was never taught. So I'm absolutely in support of this and expansion to the point where it's so uncomfortable that what we have to do in order to stop doing this is actually teach American history. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Winsdale. Representative Nolan for the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just really have to say that American history is not truly taught in our schools as American history was in decades ago. I only remember being taught about slavery and Martin Luther King in school when I was in K through 12 school. And it infuriates me to today that there are things that I'm learning that I should have been taught in school about Black history and Latino history and Asian American history and Native American history that I missed out on, that I thought were imperative to give me an understanding of how people in our country really took part in building the country to have it as it is today. And I feel like as much history as we can teach our kids when it comes to culture and those who came from other places that helped make our country what it is today, I think that is a priority. That is like a math. That is like a science. That is like an English class. And I cannot speak strong enough about it. Our schools are being told to do this because our schools were not doing it or are not doing it the way that they're supposed to or that they should. So it is to a point where it has to be mandated because the truth in the false narrative has to be changed to what it truly is. And that's why I believe so strongly in this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Nolan. Representative Exum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And I don't want to be redundant. I appreciate so many of the comments that have taken place before. But one of the things that I'd also like to stress is that if we can trust the State Department of Education to create curriculum around math, around science, and around all of these other areas, reading and English, then I have confidence that that is the place that can take care of building curriculum that is reflective through history. And if we aren't comfortable and careful around having our history built in a way that is representative and inclusive of all through this State Department of Education, then I question how we are confident about all of the other areas of curriculum that have been set forth through our State Department of Education. So I believe that they do need the resources, and that is the piece on which we need to focus. But do I have the confidence in what they're able to deliver? Absolutely so. And so I'm so happy to support this bill. We have gone a little bit off, but I totally want to say not just AAPI, but I want us to be very reflective of American history and also have to know that we have confidence that this will be built in a way that will be supportive and reflective of our children and our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Exum. Representative Carr, do you have your hand up?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just very quickly, I'm listening intently to all of the comments today. I would just hope if this proposal does move forward, that we understand the mandates that we do put on the State Department of Education to prepare the curriculum for use, and that we will be sensitive if they come back to us and they need more time so they can get the resources and have the appropriate professionals there so that the curriculum is devised in a way that hears all the voices at the table that we've listened to today. So just putting that out there, not asking for a change, but that we are sensitive, as we have done, and we did this year as well, looking at the time frame. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't see anyone else, and I will just add my 2 cents into this conversation, which would be, we started on this path 2 years ago with African American and Latino studies. There was input from the community, outside the community, from students, from professors, from educators, from professors and educators to create that curriculum. I'm very confident what was done appropriately. We last year, we did not pass through this legislation, the requirement to teach Native American history. It was done in the implementer. And my point, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, yes, I agree. SDE is, they do not have the personnel right now to complete the Native American study, and then on top of that, to complete the Asian American studies curriculum, in my opinion. I say if we're going to send this over to appropriations, we've got to make sure we send the resources that go along with it so that SDE can do a fantastic job on this curriculum. And just for everyone else, I appreciate everyone's comments on how they feel about this. Education is not political, it's open for discussion, and that's why I encourage the dialogue, especially on issues like this. Everyone has their point of view. Again, this is not a mandate. If this course is anything like the ones that will head ahead of it, it will be elected for children to take once they get to high school. And there's a reason why we have a K-8 model curriculum. So our children will see themselves from the time they enter those classroom doors as a kindergartner, the time they leave 8th grade. And then what we're saying when we create this curriculum, when these young people go to high school, they should have the option, okay? It's not a mandate. They should have the option, just like they don't have an option to take American history. You already expressed what's American history, the pros and cons. They will have an option to learn a history of themselves or other people they might be that familiar with. So what we want to do is provide our children the opportunity to explore individuals, explore cultures, explore other individuals that they may not go to school with, because we live in a state where we are very, 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 very segregated when we talk about education. So if you don't sit next to somebody to learn about them, you can learn about them through your curriculum. That's the idea behind it. So I support passing this along, as long as we pass the resources to go along with it, so it can be done in a manner that was done previously. I appreciate all your comments on this issue. And at this point, I am not going to ask that this piece of legislation go on the consent calendar. We are asked for a vote.
So Mr. Clerk, roll call?
Representative Sanchez,
Yes.
Senator McCory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel, Representative Barry,
Representative Barry votes yes.
Senator Abrams, Representative Belinsky,
I'm sorry, Representative Belinsky votes yes.
Representative Callahan,
Rep. Callahan votes yes.
Representative Candelaria,
Representative Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Carney,
Representative Carney votes yes.
Senator Champagne,
Senator Champagne votes yes.
Representative Cook,
Representative Cook votes yes.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Curry,
Representative Curry votes yes.
Representative Devlin, Representative Exum,
Representative Exum votes yes.
Senator Fazio,
Senator Fazio votes no.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Representative Fiorello,
Representative Fiorello votes no.
Senator Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Representative Jenga,
Representative Jenga votes yes.
Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Representative Haynes votes yes.
Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Johnson, Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Leeper, Representative McGee,
Representative McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller, Representative Napoli,
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Representative Nolan,
Representative Nolan votes in the affirmative.
Representative Paris,
Representative Paris votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Pettit,
Representative Pettit votes yes.
Representative E. Sanchez, Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Beach,
Representative Veach votes no.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
and Senator Winfield.
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
We all set?
Yeah,
Hi, Representative Johnson votes yes. Sorry, I missed the call.
Did you get that, Mr. Clerk?
I got it, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Representative Devlin, you have your hand up.
Sorry, yes. I vote yes.
Representative Leeper, you have your hand up.
Representative Leeper votes yes.
Are you all right?
Good.
Can you have those?
Yes, I have them, thank you.
All right. What do we have next? Of course, we're gonna leave the votes open at 6 o'clock. Mrs. Representative Sanchez, what's next on the agenda?
Next is SB number 228, an act concerning opportunities for students.
Representative Sanchez, did you close the vote or is the vote still held open? I'm sorry.
No, held open till 6.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
So again, SB number 228, an act concerning opportunities for students to participate in pathway programs and provisions and information about the availability of technical education and career schools and regional agricultural science and technology education centers, and that's JF to approach. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Representative Johnson.
Seconded, Haynes.
Moved by Johnson, second by Representative Haynes. Questions?
Just want to give a little context to this. I think this is a piece of legislation from my colleague, Senator Bertho. It's a great idea, great concept that's going on here. There's a lot of opportunities that school districts are doing, especially in Stanford and other school districts, are getting their students ready. In many cases, go straight into the workforce, if not going on to two-year colleges and second-year college. But this gives those opportunity to work in industries that they may want to get a start as a junior or senior in high school. I really support it, and I think we should do more of this. And like I said, a lot of this work is being done in the Office of Workforce OWS. So I encourage my colleagues to pass this legislation and keep the conversation going. I think we have 4 hands up. So Representative Curry, followed by Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you made the comment, and it's worth repeating, but Should this move forward, I think there definitely should be consideration with partnerships with the Office of Workforce Strategy, as we've made efforts to centralize a lot of our efforts in this realm over there. And also with regards to particular sections in here that would require likely additional staff at SDE. Again, the plea, the cry, the begging for additional funding and support over at SDE would be required. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just believe it's worth repeating. First, thanking Senator Beth Merkel for bringing this forward, and then just making it just as clear that, you know, this is an amazing thing to be able to collaborate, hopefully push it forward to workforce development and give kids the opportunity to do something different than the norm if they choose to. And I just want to say I'm going to support this just as much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Nolan. Representative Beach.
Thank you, Senator. I just wanted to comment that I think this is a wonderful bill, and I think this is a great opportunity because not everything is for certain kids, some for others. This is a great opportunity for them to get out there and do something a little different. I will fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree with all my colleagues. I appreciate this very much, and I also think that going and working with the Workforce Strategy Group is a great opportunity for us, and I suggest putting this on the consent calendar.
Oh, she did. Thank you. All right. I have no problem with that. Seeing anyone have concern with this putting on a consent calendar? Seeing none, let's put it on a consent.
Thank you. I was going to ask that this be put on consent, so I thank Representative Haynes. Thank you.
All right. What do you have next, Representative Sanchez?
Next one is number 8, HB number 5285, an act concerning public school curriculum, and that motion to JF to approach.
So moved. Curry.
Second, Nolan.
Okay.
What do you have?
And
Representative McCarty.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just have a quick comment and then maybe just one clarifying point. I'll go to the clarifying point first. This task, correct, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the bill, do we know where the funding is coming from?
Clearly, this funding will have to come through SDE. The idea around this, specifically around financial literacy, is well, we do know that in some school districts, financial literacy is being taught. Unfortunately, in some other school districts, financial literacy is not being taught. So what we're asking to do is, the rest correct, to do a pilot program, see how we can do this, and get the financial literacy taught in all our school districts across the state. They're capable of doing this because there's a policy in place for them that they can actually have people who work in the industry to actually come in and teach the lesson. So we're going to pilot it with them, with hopefully the intentions of it spreading out in school districts that do not offer that curriculum.
Thank you. And correct, we'll be administering it, but we'll be talking about the funding piece later.
Yes, absolutely. It's going straight to appropriation, so we can talk about what will be the price tag on this, and they can actually do it in their school district.
Okay, and then the piece in the proposal that discusses climate change, I think, and I just want to clarify that it was my understanding that through surveys with the schools that the majority of the schools were teaching climate change. And if I recall correctly, this was to bring that practice into accordance with the statute. Is that correct?
Representative, if you want to take this, I'll take it. Absolutely. We know that National Science Standards actually teaches climate change and what's happening, what we're about, just like in the financial literacy. And so some school districts is actually being taught, and some school districts, so for some strange reason, they're not reaching that portion of the curriculum. This is giving us the opportunity to have this curriculum, which is very important for a lot of people, to be taught by our young people, so that when we move forward and as they grow up and get smarter and better, they want to do something make sure our planet is safe. So that's what's going on here. Again, this curriculum is already being taught in our school districts. It's just a matter that in some school districts it's not, and some there are. We cannot police what goes on in everybody's classroom as an educator, but we could put a policy in place that this is what you shall be doing. Representative,
If I may finish that comment. So thank you very much for that clarification. I just wanted to make the point that from my understanding, hearing from back from the districts, that the majority, over 90%, I heard, were already doing this. So we're changing the may to a shall, and that would be in accordance then in the statute. So thank you, Senator McCrory.
Thank you. Representative Curry, followed by Senator Champagne.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question or point of noting. In section 4, where the request for additional funding for CREC to administer the financial management program, it's sort of silent on whether or not member districts will have to participate in this. So as this moves along, if that is the intent, we may want to strengthen that language or make it permissive, dependent upon what the proponent's intent is. But just wanted to point that out for you.
Thank you. Senator Champagne.
Thank you. So my understanding is that we're going to now mandate climate change in our schools as well.
Absolutely not. Actually, what we're going to do is follow the national science standards, which already include climate change. Like it's already. It's just in some school districts they're not teaching it, and some they are. So it's not like we're requiring them to do it. It's part of national science standards that's already in our state.
So for the 10% that aren't doing it, this law is requiring them to do it, which means it's a mandate on everybody to do it.
Well, 90% are already doing it. I guess you could say that is a mandate on 10% that has not done it or and should have been doing it in the first place.
Okay. Some points were made about, getting back to our basics. I don't know if anybody follows what's going on in the world, but we're pretty far behind in a lot of different areas: reading, writing, arithmetic, and I do believe that we need to be careful with how many things we require, whether it's federally or statewide. I'd really like us to catch up with some of the other countries on where we stand educationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Champagne. Representative Callahan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great idea that personal finance should be taught in all schools because it'll help our students plan for their future. When it comes to mandating teaching climate change, I really like the wording say mandating science, teaching the facts, and let students make up their mind. I don't want students being put in a situation where if they disagree with some of the aspects of the climate change curriculum, they're graded negatively. I think we should be teaching critical thinking and teaching the science and let the students debate and decide what the best move forward is. So I do have some problems with the wording and struggling with this vote, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Representative Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, this is a very interesting conversation, and I will give my short comments from where I stand. Being a 30-year educator myself and teaching science for 25 years in 3 different school districts, I can say schools may be reporting that they're teaching about climate change, but they're not. It absolutely is not happening. And I can also say from districts of color, our kids are way behind in education of climate change and giving our kids an opportunity to make their own decisions. And I hear my colleagues and what you're saying, but let's give our students a chance to understand what's going on because they're not even in the ball game as far as learning what's going on. And again, it's been reported, but I've been in the classrooms, I've evaluated teachers. It's not being taught where it should be taught by all districts. So we owe it to our children, right or wrong, if you agree with it or not, the future of the planet is theirs. Have them make the decision as to what they want to believe and follow the science. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Gibson. Any other comments? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to acknowledge my support for this whole bill, but in particular, the section that I had tried to develop last session and through some collaboration with some of the members here on this call, had the civics and citizenship section 5 added to the bill. This was something that I felt was extremely important and timely. I feel that we all know, whatever party or whatever our particular political ideology is that we are at a particularly fraught time when it comes to civics and the responsibilities of citizenship in a republic. There right now are concurrently several private and public initiatives that are addressing this very issue, from Congress throughout corporate boardrooms. I have testimony supporting this idea from the Connecticut Bar Association. Obviously, the Secretary of the State is very interested in civics education. For many years, there has been an emphasis on what we call euphemistically now STEM, science, technologies, engineering, mathematics, which is undoubtedly something of extreme importance, but it has been a priority since the days of Sputnik in the early 50s, and it still needs to be further developed and further emphasized. I would submit, however, that most of us know from talking to voters, we're in government, but there are people, neighbors of ours, quite a few people that have very little idea about our system of government. It's considered to be kind of a specialty interest like college basketball or something else, but it is something that is integral to our success as a people in a republic. I submitted this as a task force because I feel that the most important thing to give this a legislative sanction is the fact that it's going to be a bipartisan and fully collaborative effort. Science and technologies are objective. Things involving citizenship, political discourse can be very subjective, and therein is the problem. But I do feel from my initial efforts to try to rally support for this that there is a good appreciation and understanding for the need for this. When I talk about civics, we talk about our system of government and critical thinking, yes, but indeed trying to attain those truths that the founders of our republic had expected. We all know the famous anecdotal story of Benjamin Franklin being approached after the Constitutional Convention and asking what they had accomplished. And he said, we have a republic if we can keep it. And if we can keep it is the real rub. This is what we need to do. I appreciate the help in this that I received from Representative Curry, from the Majority Leader Rojas, who helped to submit this to the committee for consideration. I also want to acknowledge too the fact that these SDE Representative Curry asked that I talk to some people over at the Education Department who are less than enthusiastic about this because they are currently working on the model curriculum requirement, for which they felt that perhaps having a separate task force might somehow dilute or offset their efforts. I had started in my appeals to everyone at that point, but kind of pulled back a bit at that. On further thought, though, I thought this is really the ideal time to do this collaboratively when there are so many things in the area of citizenship, forensics, American history that are all concurrently coming to fruition at the same time. I don't feel this would draw anything from the efforts from SCROG or the consultants working with SDE. I think it will help to enhance them. And I think this is something that is required more now than ever before. And I think it's something that deserves, and I think it's something that needs to have full bipartisan participation and acceptance. And in talking to some of my Republican colleagues, and when I began trying to rally support for this, I think everyone, the people I talked to, seem to have a good appreciation of that fact, and it is something that we can find common ground on this, and I think the time is probably more opportune now than ever before. I also recognize that we're not looking to end mandates here, as Representative Devlin and Beach had mentioned with regard to the AAPI bill, and Representative Fiorello, who once again very eloquently and convincingly spoke about the need to stay with core principles. I do believe that this is a core discipline for all students. And unlike what SDE is working on, which is a K through from the model curriculum, K through 8, this would be a K through 12 program, something that would look to codify and to work with all of the agencies of our state, local and federal levels in developing civics education and citizenship as something important and necessary to our society just as much as science and technology is. And I would appreciate your consideration and your support of this. The Civics Task Force is part of House Bill 5285. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Any other comments or questions before we move forward? I'm sorry, Representative Curry.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I believe for the second time, so I appreciate that. I think we've heard a number of times now the comments being made about being behind and falling back and where we need to be doing better. Now, I would just likely remind committee members and also those listening that life does not begin when you hit kindergarten. So let's have the conversation about providing the right opportunities and circumstances so that when they do hit the kindergarten, that they're ready to succeed and strive at the levels that we all hope they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fiorello, and followed by Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to express gratitude for my colleague on the other side, who I sit very near in the House, for his remarks. I'm sorry, I don't know what town he's from, but I really appreciate what he's saying about civics education being so important. I share those sentiments as well. And I really want to support this bill, but I can't abide by mandating climate change. I'd like to ask, Mr. Chair, what is the climate change curriculum that is being taught that we are now mandating? Is this a curriculum that already exists? And are we going to be creating this curriculum? Or what is it that we are now mandating in terms of climate change?
So let me go back again and explain to you the concept of climate change as it's part of the national science standards that's already being taught in our schools in the state of Connecticut currently. The issue before us is the fact that based on evidence by groups of individual teachers, schools, and school districts, that this curriculum, which is already required and supposed to be taught in our schools in Connecticut, is not being taught by all our school districts. So therefore, as I said earlier, there was a percentage, someone said 90% of our schools districts are already teaching this. It's the 10% that's not. So what we want to do is not require, actually have the educators do what they're supposed to do, which is teach climate change. Not teach science, which includes the concept of climate change. That's all. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I guess I'm not sure where to find the curriculum, the federally mandated one on climate change. But I mean, if we're talking earth science, great. But climate change is a charged word, and the science is not settled on climate change, whether it's man-made or what causes it. The climate is absolutely changing, but what is it that we're teaching our children? That they are the fault of it, or that that there are other impacts? I think it's very important to understand what it is that we're being taught, because earth science is very important. We want people to understand our planet, but where the turn goes into climate change is what I'm concerned about. But I just want to end my remarks by saying I'm very grateful for the work that the representative who cares about the civics education has put forward. And I would love it if that portion could be separated, and I would enthusiastically rally and whip votes to create this task force for civics education. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Fasano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask questions that hopefully could be answered by someone, but if not, then I am willing to put them on the record rhetorically. But I'm new to the committee, but I do wonder over the past 5 or 10 years how many new mandates the committee and the state legislature passes for local school districts compared to how many they re-examine when in the case that they're not working and remove. I'd like to get a sense of how many mandates that our state government is placing on local school districts overall, if there's a quantity, a count. And in asking those questions, I would just like us to consider that that we should have some perspective on how heavy-handed our state is being, and whether the hundreds, I believe it's hundreds of mandates that the state government imposes on local school districts divert attention from, again, teaching core curriculum, which is none of which is to say that I oppose all of them or even most of them. A lot of them are necessary, and some of the mandates actually have to be around core curriculum and enforcing high standards. But I hope that in over the course of these debates that we have today and going forward, that we keep perspective on whether we're being judicious in imposing dozens upon dozens of more mandates that sound good without examining whether we are effectively and prudently examining whether they actually on the whole improve the quality of education for kids in Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Callahan.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief comment. I do want to thank Representative Smith for reaching out to me and talking about civics education. We had a great conversation about it. And I do believe we should be teaching that in our classrooms. And I personally have called all the area schools in my district and offered to come speak to them about how their government works and how they can get involved. And I do wish we could separate this into its own bill. So I thank you, Representative Smith, for your actions.
Thank you, Representative Callahan.
So we're going to have a roll call.
Representative McCarty, do you have your hand up?
I do, and just a quick clarification, I'll be very brief on this bill, just to put people at ease that these next, the science standards were put in place and were voted on by the State Board of Education years ago. So it's not like something's coming out from nowhere. These are science standards that are approved professionally. Just wanted to put that out there, Senator McCrory, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative McCarty. Yes, these standards have been out for a while now. And if you would like to get a little information, just send SDE a note. They will provide you with specifics. Clearly, this will not be a roll. This will not be on our consent calendar. So I would like to have a roll call vote on this bill.
Representative Sanchez,
Yes.
Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel, Representative Barry,
Representative Barry votes yes.
Senator Abrams, Representative Belinsky,
Representative Belinsky votes no on the mandate.
Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Candelaria,
Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Carney,
Representative Carney votes yes.
Senator Champagne,
Senator Champagne votes no.
Representative Cook,
Representative Cook votes yes.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Curry,
Representative Curry votes yes.
Representative Devlin,
Representative Devlin votes yes.
Representative Exum,
Representative Exum votes yes.
Senator Fazio,
Fazio votes no.
Senator, I'm sorry, Senator Fazio, I didn't hear you.
Fazio votes no.
Thank you. Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Representative Fiorello,
Representative Fiorella votes no.
Senator Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Representative Jenga, Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Representative Haynes votes no.
Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Johnson,
Representative Johnson votes yes.
Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Leeper,
Representative Leeper votes yes.
Representative McGee,
Representative McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli,
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Representative Nolan,
Representative Nolan votes in the affirmative.
Representative Paris,
Representative Harris votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Pettit,
Representative Pettit votes yes.
Representative E. Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Veach,
Representative Veach votes no.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
and Senator Winfield.
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Again, we're keeping these votes open until 6 o'clock. Are we all set, Mr. Clerk, with that?
Yes.
Okay.
What do we have next, Representative Sanchez?
So the next one is HB number 5287, an act concerning remote learning in Connecticut. JFS to the floor.
So let me give a synopsis of this. So
Well, we need a motion. We need a motion first.
So move Nolan.
Nolan,
Second Kennedy.
second Kennedy. Thank you.
just a quick understanding of what we're doing here. What we want to do is give SDE a little more time so they can come back to us around with some specific recommendation in regards to remote learning in Connecticut. Their date, we initially said July of this year. That's not enough time for them to come back to us with some recommendations. We extended it, I think it is to January. That's basically what we're doing here. The idea is to come back, provide us some recommendations so we can put forth one of the most robust remote learning programs in the state of Connecticut. So we don't want to rush, we want to get it right. So we're giving SDE a little more time. And that's basically what's going on with this piece of legislation. Any questions? Representative Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While I may have issues, particularly with remote learning and possibly moving towards some sort of a remote school district in and of itself, which I know this bill does not do, I would suggest that as this moves forward, that language is included that would require approval by the State Department of Education when districts are going to propose using remote learning and that plan is approved and there's some sort of follow through to ensure its success or its failure or challenges, opportunities, things that come out of that. Also, a quick question, and I don't know if this is for LCO. In line 33, we note virtual classes. Do we define virtual class in statute now? Or will we need to do that to clear that up?
Is that a question? Assuming that's a question for OLR?
Or
Chris,
else, yeah.
for Chris Cordima, or
Chris, you want to take that?
Yeah, 5287. Which line are you referring to?
Line 33 with virtual classes. I know we defined remote learning last year in the bill, which is included in this. I just didn't know if virtual, because I know with SDE, virtual is different than remote, different than distant learning, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, my computer's being slow.
I don't necessarily need an answer at this moment. I guess it's just as this bill moves along, ensuring that we have definitions and things are clearly stated, so there's no confusion, especially when it comes to attendance.
Yeah. No, to answer your question, there is no definition of virtual classes. We do define remote learning, but not virtual classes.
Okay, just food for thought as this moves forward. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chris. Representative McCarty.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to make a comment for clarification purposes and would like the committee to, because I've been hearing quite a bit on the bill, we needed to put standards in place for remote learning. As you know, through the pandemic, there was a lot of different teaching going on in our different school districts. So the State Department has already put the standards in place for 9 through 12, working on the K through 8 standards. But I'd like to clarify, because I have heard some concerns. This, I think, is necessary to have standards in place for remote learning. We need to do that. But I'd also like to put out that I believe the Department of Education, as well as at least I'll put myself in that category, it's not truly an effort to move our students to remote learning. We all, I think, have recognized the value of learning experience. The optimal learning is in person. So, but this is the remote learning is being put in place so that we have standards. And I think we need to emphasize, and going along with Representative Curry, as we go forward, the Department of Education will still have the ability to offer guidance, because while remote learning may work for some students, it does not work for a good majority of students. So I just wanted to be clear there that the bill is not intending to promote the remote learning full blown, and that we will have more opportunities to hear from the Department of Education as it goes forward with the appropriate guidance that needs to be put in place. The beginning section was a whole different piece of the proposal that was on the virtual forming of a virtual learning school. So I just wanted that out there for clarification, and I hope I'm correct in my assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative McCarty, and I believe you are clear in your assessment. Again, SDE will be providing the standards as we move forward. We will make sure those standards are in place through our school districts. Yes, the pandemic has shown us a lot, that there are some school districts that were ready to go within 2 weeks, and some school districts that didn't have basic supplies. So what we want to do with this piece of legislation is put standards in place that we make sure that all school districts, whether they are in an urban school setting or a suburban school setting or rural setting, have the ability to go remotely if another quagmire like this comes up to play. So that's what we're looking for SDE to do. Representative Senator Fazal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like we're on the same page with our goals of wanting to promote in-person learning. I just want to understand in lines 20 to 26 in the bill, it says any statewide remote learning school that may be created under such a plan shall, basically says is allowed, except provided in each school year not less than 180 days of actual school sessions and 9 hours of actual school work for grades K to 12. But I'm wondering if it's counting the remote learning towards the 180-day school year or not. If anyone.
So I will say this is not in place yet, and I guess the idea is once we put one in place, once we put a distance learning quote unquote school in place, that they will have 180 days. So you'll say the whole school year is distance learning. If this mechanism becomes a reality for us to stay in the game.
Yeah, and I guess that's my concern, that it could be inadvertently opening a door here for remote learning to be counting as equal to in-person learning. Because we all want kids in school for at least 180 days a year. And I just worry that we're opening the door if that's actually how I'm understanding the bill. And of course, I'm wondering if I'm not understanding it correctly.
Well, I'm not saying you do understand it correctly or not, but we are not having a discussion where we will look to reduce the number of school days as we move forward. Any discussion about reducing the number of school days in Connecticut will have to come through this committee. So that is not that is not the intent of this piece of legislation. Again, this is with thoughts in the future if we were to go this route. Clearly, we're going to have some standards in place. We're going to have some guidelines in place from SDE. What can be, how distance learning will be set up and the number of days that will be. But this will not be a slippery slope where we're having to start a discussion about using virtual learning days as opposed to in-person learning. This committee, or I believe that in-person learning is the best way to go about it. And if any change is going to be made, they'll have to come through this committee. So I hope that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I think it's safe to say, can we put this on consent? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Rep. All right, let's move this to the consent calendar. I think we have 2 bills left. Is that right, Representative?
Yes. So the 2 bills that
Good.
So we have we have SB number 230, an act concerning public education in the state. And these are just placement bills. And motion to
place on the consent, Representative McCarty?
No, you can't do that.
No, we have to do a motion first.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to take each bill individually and then put on.
So SB number 230, motion for SB 230.
So moved. I'm sorry, Representative McCarty.
Yes, I apologize, but I have received word, and as you know, Senator Berthel has some issues and he's trying to get in. However, he has requested that both of these bills not be placed on consent.
Okay.
So I'm just transferring the message to you.
Okay. So we want to take a roll call vote on the first one by Representative Sanchez.
Well, we had a motion from you, and who's second?
I'll second.
Okay, Representative McCarthy second. So yes, so we'll have a roll call. Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, for my own records, what is it to the floor? What was that? I'm not sure if that was, did we make that motion?
That was to the floor.
Okay, got it. JF to the floor.
Yep.
Representative Sanchez,
Yes.
Senator McCory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel, Representative Barry,
Representative Barry votes yes.
Senator Abrams,
Yeah, it's great to have you. You're on that same meeting that Susan was in.
I'm still in it.
Okay. Continue, Senator Abrams was in.
Representative Belinsky,
Representative Belinsky votes yes.
Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Candelaria,
Candelaria votes yes.
Representative Carney,
Representative Carney votes yes.
Senator Champagne,
Senator Champagne votes no.
Representative Cook,
Representative Cook votes yes.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Curry,
Sorry about that. Representative Curry votes yes.
Representative Devlin,
Representative Devlin votes yes.
Representative Exum,
Representative Exum votes yes.
Senator Fazio,
Senator Fazio votes no.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Representative Fiorello,
Representative Fiorello votes no.
Senator Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Representative Jenga,
Representative Jenga votes yes.
Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Representative Haynes votes yes.
Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes no.
Representative Johnson, Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Kushner votes yes.
Senator, could you just repeat
Senator
yourself?
Kushner votes. Senator Kushner.
Representative Johnson
votes yes.
Senator Kitchener, you might have to turn your video on, I believe.
Yeah. We'll have to come back to Senator
I have my
Kushner.
video on.
Okay, we'll come back to you because
This is Representative Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't see
Voting
you,
yes.
Representative.
Representative Johnson votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Representative Leeper,
Representative Leeper votes yes.
Representative McGee,
Representative McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli,
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Representative Nolan,
Representative Nolan votes in affirmative.
Representative Harris,
Representative Paris votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Pettit,
Representative Pettit votes yes.
Representative E. Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Beach,
Representative Veach votes no.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Senator Kushner, are you with us?
I am. Can you see me now?
I can, yes.
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Is that the roll, Mr.
Yeah,
Clerk?
that concludes the roll.
Okay, so we'll move on to the last one, HB number 5281, an act concerning schools. JF to the floor. Again, these are placement bills. There's no language in them, but there may be language added down the road if we need to. So I just wanted to clarify that. Motion,
So move.
motion by Senator McCrory, second by
Second, Curry.
Jeff Curry. Any questions?
So
Okay.
this will also be a roll call vote.
Yes, this will be a roll call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Representative Sanchez,
Yes?
Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel, Representative Barry,
Representative Barry votes yes.
Senator Abrams, Representative Belinsky,
Representative Belinsky is yes.
Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes no.
Representative Candelaria, Representative Carney,
Representative Carney votes no.
Senator Champagne,
Senator Champagne votes no.
Representative Cook,
Representative Cook votes yes.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Curry,
Representative Curry votes yes.
Representative Devlin,
Representative Devlin votes yes.
Representative Exum,
I heard that, Representative McCarty.
Getting our committee legs back on.
Representative Exum, Senator Fazio,
Fazio votes no.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Representative Fiorello,
Representative Fiorello votes no.
Senator Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Representative Jenga,
Representative Jenga votes yes.
Representative Gibson, Representative Haynes,
Representative Haynes votes yes.
Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Johnson,
Representative Johnson votes yes. Representative Johnson votes yes. Can you hear me?
Representative, would you mind just turning your camera on? I guess there's this rule about that.
Right now,
You have to turn on your camera, Representative Johnson. There you go. Now unmute.
mute me. Now,
There you go.
I'm trying to go to the regular.
You're
Here
good
I
right
am.
there.
Oops,
Good.
there. Okay, there. Representative Johnson votes yes. Is that good?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Leeper,
Representative Leeper votes yes.
Representative McGee,
Representative McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli,
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Representative Nolan,
Representative Nolan votes in the affirmative.
Representative Paris,
Representative Paris votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Pettit,
Representative Pettit votes no.
Representative E. Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Veach,
Representative Veach votes no.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
What the little guy say, Gary?
He's counting.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, now we're gonna go to the consent calendar. Can you read out the bills and then we will start the roll call?
all right. Consent calendar, Senate Bill,
I just wanted to be, I stepped away. Representative Exum votes yes for the last vote.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, consent calendar, Senate Bill 226, JF to the floor. House Bill 5280, JF to appropriations. Senate Bill 227, JF to appropriations. Senate Bill 228, JF to appropriations. House Bill 5287, JFS to the floor. Representative Sanchez.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure if I have to call the roll because it's a consent calendar, so. Do I have to? LCO?
Yes, yeah, you gotta call the roll, yep.
Okay.
Yes, you do, yeah.
Okay. Senator McCory,
Senator McCoy votes in the affirmative.
Representative McCarty,
Representative McCarty votes yes.
Senator Berthel, Representative Barry,
Representative Barry votes yes.
Senator Abrams, Representative Lewinsky,
Representative Belinsky votes yes.
Representative Callahan,
Representative Callahan votes yes.
Representative Candelaria, Representative Carney,
Representative Carney votes yes.
Senator Champagne,
Senator Champagne votes yes.
Representative Cook,
Representative Cook votes yes.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Curry,
Representative Curry votes yes.
Representative Devlin,
Ready.
Sorry, having technical delays. Representative Devlin votes yes.
Representative Exum,
Representative Exum votes yes.
Senator Fazio,
Fazio votes yes.
Representative Felipe,
Representative Felipe votes yes.
Representative Fiorello,
Representative Fiorello votes yes.
Senator Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Representative Jenga,
Representative Jenga votes yes.
Representative Gibson,
Representative Gibson votes yes.
Representative Haynes,
Representative Haynes votes yes.
Representative Harding,
Representative Harding votes yes.
Representative Johnson, Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Leeper,
Representative Leeper votes yes.
Representative McGee,
Representative McGee votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Representative Napoli,
Representative Napoli votes yes.
Representative Nolan,
Affirmative.
Representative Nolan,
In the affirmative.
Representative Paris,
Representative Paris votes yes.
Representative Parker,
Representative Parker votes yes.
Representative Pettit,
Representative Pettit votes yes.
Representative Sanchez,
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Representative Smith,
Representative Smith votes yes.
Representative Beach,
Representative Beach votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Senator Winfield,
Senator Winfield in the affirmative.
Mr. Clerk, is that it?
that's concludes the roll, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we're gonna keep the votes open till 6 PM. So another half hour for those individuals that either miss votes or will be voting before 6 PM, hopefully. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for this meeting today, and we'll see everyone next week.
Enjoy your weekend.
Wait, we have more votes, don't we?
No, that was the consent calendar. The votes will be open till 6 PM. So if you miss any votes, stay on and the clerk will take your votes.
Right. Before we close out, I'd just like to recognize the leadership and thank you for all your cooperation today. Very much appreciated. Have a good weekend.
Yep, you too.
All right, as always, great job, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
I think Carmen's hand's still up, but speak.
Kenny.
Hey,
Raise your hand, Henry.
Ken,
Yes.
I'm just checking to see if I missed votes. I came in a little late. I don't think I did.
Can we raise our hands, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so House Bill 5281. You missed that vote.
And can you see our hands?
I can.
Can you call us by whatever hand you call?
Okay.
Thank you.
How do you wish to record your vote on that one, Representative Carney?
No. 5281, you can put me as a no.
Oh, I already have it. All right, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
You're welcome. Okay, Senator Miller.
Thank you. What did I miss? I missed the first one, I think. I missed number 6, I think I missed.
Yeah, 5282. Yeah.
I missed
How do
that,
you-
right?
Yes, how do you wish to vote?
That's a yes for me.
Okay,
Did I miss any more?
let me check. Nope, that was it.
I have a question on the consent. I'm sorry if you can entertain me. On the consent calendar, what was the last bill on the consent calendar?
5287. It was JFF.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, thank you. Have a nice weekend,
Thank
everyone.
you. Okay, Representative Gibson.
Hi, Ken. I think
Hi.
I missed, I'm just trying to see if I missed any votes.
Yes, you missed one. House Bill 5281. How do you wish to be recorded?
I vote yes.
That's the only one that you missed, Representative.
Thank you, Ken. Have a good weekend. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Okay, Representative Jenga.
I think I missed the first one, Ken.
Yeah, you voted on that one. You missed 5285, House Bill 5285.
Is the only one I missed?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. Let me go through and check, but how do you wish to record your vote? on
Yes.
Okay. Yep, that was the only one that you missed.
Thank you, Ken. Have a good
You're welcome.
weekend.
You too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Representative Leeper, let me.
Hey, Ken, I think also Mary Wieelander might be waiting to be let in, just
Oh, okay, yeah, let me let her in right now. Thank you.
no problem.
Oh, you didn't miss any.
Me?
Yeah, you didn't miss any. I don't have any, you didn't miss.
226? Oh, it was put on the
Oh,
consent
226
calendar?
was the consent calendar, yeah. And you voted on the consent calendar.
5280 and 227, all on the
Yeah,
consent
all
calendar?
consent calendar, yeah. And then 228 was consent, and then 5287.
Amazing. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good weekend.
Still, thank you. All right, Representative Sanchez. Sure, let me check again. Okay, so House Bill 5282, how do you wish your vote to be recorded?
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
All right, Representative, that was the only one that you missed.
All right, thank you. Ken.
You're welcome. Take care. All right, Senator Winfield.
Yes, sir.
Senator, you did not miss any votes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Representative Candelaria.
I think I missed the consent calendar and another one. So consent calendar, I vote yes.
Yes. Yep, did miss that one. Oh, yes, House Bill 5281, how do you wish your vote to be recorded?
I vote yes on that one as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Senator Berthel?
Hey Ken, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You can see me okay?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
All right, great. I'm actually in an airport, so
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Am I the only person you're waiting for?
Yeah, you are. I
I'm
think
really
there's a
sorry,
couple
brother.
there's a couple outstanding, so you're not the only
All
one.
right, all right. Well,
So did
next
you wanna
time
start with
the next time we're all together, we'll go grab a cup of coffee. My treat. How's that?
Oh, that sounds great.
All right. So I understand there was a consent calendar, right?
Yeah, you want to start there? So it was.
Yeah, let's start there. I'm a yes on that, obviously. You don't have to go through them all. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
thank you. And then,
If you could just give me bill numbers, I don't need titles, and I'll tell you which way I'm going to go.
okay, perfect. So House Bill 5282.
5282, I'm a yes.
So House Bill 5285.
85, I'm going to be a no, just to flag for the
Okay.
moment.
We have Senate Bill 230.
230, I'm going to be a no.
Okay. House Bill 5281.
5281, I'm going to be a no. That was not the pipeline bill, right? Just to make sure. The workforce bill.
Oh, it's the placeholder bill.
The placeholder. That's right. Yeah, I have to. Sorry, I just lost my one of my earpods. Yeah, on the placeholders, I always do no to flag those. Just
Okay.
just the policy thing for me. So, was that it, or were there
That's
others?
it. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you. If you would do me a favor at some point, could you email me your cell phone? I don't know if you did. Yeah, I don't know if you did already at one point. I don't have it, but that way I could have just shot you a text and said, "Hey, man, I'm hanging out." So,
Got it.
but thank you for waiting, and have a great
No
weekend.
problem.
Stay safe with the snowstorm coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
See ya. You too.
All right.
Bye bye.
Representative Johnson, are you still there?
Mute myself. Can you hear me okay? Ooh. I don't know. Okay, here I am.
I can hear you. Would you mind putting your video on?
Video. There I am. Can you see me, Ken?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, so go
So,
ahead and I'm
are
going
you
to vote yes for the consent calendar.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me. Appreciate it. Take care.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Take care.